It's 2 p.m. Detroit, and you know what that means. Detroit media icon Ryan Ermanni, University of Michigan great Braylon Edwards, and of course, Maz are about to take over on Woodward Sports. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m., it's the best Detroit sports talk on Detroit's best sports network, Woodward Sports.
Hey, let's go! Wednesday show, July 31st, 2024. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on YouTube, part of the over 66,000 subscribers on this platform, we say good afternoon to you. Hit that like button, subscribe to Woodward Sports on YouTube. Braylon Edwards, good afternoon to you, my friend.
Ryan Ermanni, good afternoon to you. Sorry, I wasn't being disrespectful, just signing this ball.
Go blue, baby!
My good friend Cameron over there, here you go. Wasn't a bad toss, good catch by you. I'm having a good day, man. It's good to see you rocking my Jets colors. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry. This is green and white, but it's the New York Jets, not that other team in East Lansing. Time Maz away. How you feeling, buddy?
I love that ringer tee you got on. I'll tell you that for sure.
I got to find you one, man.
I got to get one of them. Those are beauties. And he's got his Jets shorts on.
You two are a beauty. You two are a beauty.
You know what?
Maz, where's your... I don't think I ever see you without sporting attire or apparel. What's going on
I had to go to my other gig earlier today, so I just dressed a little bit different.
Right.
Anyway, I go get the waters for everyone. James.
And I really appreciate that.
James has been getting the waters.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been doing
100%.
This is last week. I'm going to miss James a lot.
James has been fantastic.
He's been the only intern that's ever come in here that actually will go do some intern work. In other words, go and get waters, go pick up a couple things.
Amongst other things.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
He's learned the business here while he's here. So anyway, he gets me a lemon every day, right? Look what they do today. They jam in like 5-6 lemons in here. You know what this means?
You got lemonade.
This means, hey, Maz,
There you go.
go to hell. Ask if you're lemons. That's what this means to me.
Is that what it means?
That's
They're
what it
trying
means
to give you
to
extra
me.
lemon.
They gave me
trying to
extra
make-
lemons. Do you think that was like, hey, man, you always got to ask for a lemon? Or do you think they were being extra nice?
I think they were being nice and courteous. That you like lemon, have a couple extra lemon.
Okay, well,
You know what,
I love
man?
it. I'm
You
just,
know what? Usually I'm going to be on the opposite side like Ryan. I'm not. Today I'm going to be like Maz. I think it's a younger group. I think if there's some people that are no longer here, it's getting younger and younger.
Yeah.
That might have been
They don't know me.
Hey, you pound
They don't
salt.
know
you
you.
don't know me.
In the words of Tom Maz, boy, pound salt.
Pound salt,
That's what
baby.
they told you.
Pound salt. Birmingham rolls, thank you.
Guys, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking to Tigers play-by-play man, television voice of the Tigers, Jason Benetti. He does so many things. And thankfully, for all you Xfinity Comcast members, you're going to be able to watch Jason Benetti now coming up tomorrow, I believe. It's back on the air. We will talk Michigan football with Intern Alex, part of our Wolverine segment, one of the most knowledgeable voices on Michigan sports, Bray. I think that's out there right now. And, of course, Sean Wilson is going to join us from the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan. Sean Wilson is just an absolute gem of a person. And he's got some exciting things happening, so we're going to talk to him about all of those things. I do want to start, Bray, if we can, with the Detroit Tigers. Yesterday, it was a trade-a-palooza, as you'd say. I will say, though, when you look at the overriding theme of yesterday, we all think we know what a good trade is. And in reality, I'm going to give Scott Harris a little bit of grace here. We don't know what he did yesterday. Scott Harris doesn't even know what he did yesterday. You are trading for hope. You are trading for prospects. And I just think it's not what Tigers fans want to hear. It's not what I want to hear. But you do have to let the thing play out. Not one top 100 prospect was traded yesterday. Top 100 Major League Baseball prospects.
There's different lists, by the way.
There are different lists,
different
but if you go by the Baseball America top 100 prospects, not one of them was traded yesterday amongst all of these trades that happened. So for as much as we can sit here and discuss, Tarek Skubal for Jackson Holliday and 4 others, those are fake trades. That's not what the market dictates, and that's not what Scott Harris missed in Detroit. It's not what Chris Getz missed in Chicago. It's not what Tampa Bay missed by giving away Isaac Paredes. In Toronto, everybody's looking at Toronto. Toronto got this haul. We don't know. You thought Tigers got a haul for Justin Verlander.
Maz, let me take this one. I'm going to go first because I'm the novice here when it comes to what is an equivalent trade as it relates to MLB. I know the sport, but sometimes when it comes to trading and documents, blah, 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 it's not my forte. But this is, Ryan and Mike, yesterday was a seller's market. That's what we've been told. When you listen to this MLB analyst, that MLB analyst, this regular Joe Blow, Tom Mazaway himself knows way more than a lot of these guys. And you're listening, that's the constant thing, the seller's market. And then what teams got? The major hauls that they got for pitchers, the major haul that they got for players that weren't on Jack Flaherty's level. Now, Ryan, when I'm watching MLB and I'm watching, who's the guy whose name starts with M, his last name? He's like the guy in terms of what he knows about baseball.
Oh, Jeff Passan is the number one guy.
Okay, well, Jeff Passan said it too. The Tigers were in the best position, or one of the best positions in baseball at the trade deadline for players that they could deal and get something in return.
John Morosi, you're talking about.
Morosi, that's the guy I'm thinking of.
Ken Rosenthal. Those are the big three.
And they all said the same thing, correct?
Correct.
When they're all saying it, Ryan and Mike, and I don't like playing that game, but when they're all saying it and all the spotlights on Detroit, finally you got a situation. This is now the second time Scott Harris has missed. We didn't count last season, but we did count the all season with the bats, which you illustrated yesterday. And here we are at the trade deadline with an opportunity to get something really good in your return, get some bang for your buck. And it just feels like we came up short. You're absolutely right. I don't know what the two players of the Dodgers are going to be. I don't know who they are and what they're going to be. But I do know it feels like for us to have one of the main names on the trade block, we didn't get that feeling that I think you wanted to feel yesterday at 7 p.m.
Well, yeah, it was 6:58. Excuse me, 5:58. I'm still looking at Twitter, and I keep refreshing it. I was not moving from my chair. And there it was. Boop. Passan said, Flaherty's going to the Dodgers. That was all it said. And then it started leaking through. Oh, then that's what I wrote you guys. Oh, wow. Maybe we'll get Gavin Lux. You know, put him at shortstop.
2 minutes later, never mind.
Yeah, I said, never mind.
That's what you thought?
Yeah, because Jack Flaherty is an ace.
Right.
He's an ace. This year, he's an ace. Now, the Yankees backed out, supposedly, because they were worried about his back.
Yeah.
And Jack's had like 3 shots at his back this year. But you know what? When he's healthy, and he's healthy right now, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Strikeout ratio to walks, off the charts. And the Yankees are standing there with their hands out, and they got nothing. They did. They got Jazz Chisholm, who's hitting, had 4 home runs already as a Yankee.
3 games.
3 games. But they have no arms. So I don't know why they didn't do it. But what did I tell you guys yesterday? The Dodgers and Yankees are quiet. One of them is going to pull the trigger. And when the Dodgers pulled the trigger, I thought we were going to get more than what we got. I thought we'd get a player that we could put right in the lineup. Now, one of these guys, and I forgot which one it is. I really don't care. One of them's in AAA and ready to come up. It might be the shortstop. All right? It might be the shortstop. They also got a catcher/first baseman that's hitting a decent as well. And then they got a right-hand pitcher from San Francisco for Mark Canha. They got a couple pitchers from the Texas Rangers as well. We'll see. But the way Scott Harris talks, it's like, hey, we got this, man. Don't worry. We got you. These names might not be on the list you're looking at, but they're on the list we're looking at. And we're better now than we were when I got here. And those are basically what he said.
And obviously, one of the most frustrating parts about the Detroit Tigers, where they are this year and what this season has become, is they have the pitching, both starting pitching and bullpen arms, to make it to the postseason and do some damage in the postseason. Yeah. That element is there with this baseball team, and I think it's so frustrating that they were never able to really acquire a bat. I think it's so frustrating that a couple of the young guys that you counted on so heavily at the start of the year in Spencer Torkelson and Parker Meadows never materialized. Not only never materialized, spent a majority of the year in the minor leagues. I mean, they were so bad they had to go to Toledo, and then Parker Meadows with the injury once he came back up. That is why there's so much frustration, Braylon, and why the general manager, the president of baseball operations or whatever the title is under the microscope now because of all of these things leading up to last night.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you look at it, I think it's very rare where you're able to point out at, point in time what can make you better. You knew going into the season that you needed to get some bats. You knew that you had pitching. You knew Jack Flaherty was going to be a better pitcher this year, working with Chris Vedder, doing his thing with that whole pitching staff. Every pitcher took a step in the right direction. And you know Scoobs. We know what Scoobs is going to be this year. You knew you had to get a couple bats, and you don't do it. Now here we are. How many games did we lose? 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. How many games we can't find bats? We can't find bats to back what the pitcher's doing with this bullpen was been on. And here you have another opportunity where you know you need some more consistent game players. You have an opportunity to trade a guy that can get you that haul, and maybe not in the haul in the sense of, oh, we got a haul like for Juan Soto. Maybe they kept throwing that out there. Maybe that was a little unreachable with certain players. But you knew you can get players to fill certain spots. You needed a second baseman. You needed a shortstop. You needed these things. That's where I think 2 times in a row, here it is, not making the moves that you should have.
Listen, I get the chat saying, Maz, you're too emotional. Broder's like an F, because I think it's an F grade. He's like an F. It's a B. I'm just saying. I'm going to put this out there. There isn't a baseball expert out there that's online, that's on TV, that's on radio, that's on the internet, that is saying the Tigers did well. Not one. Ben Verlander said, what the hell are you doing, Scott Harris? Ben Verlander, Justin's brother, I know he's not Justin Verlander, but he's a guy that follows. He's a guy that follows his team day in and day out and wants the best for this team. So I'm going to go with those guys instead of you guys, you chatters and Broder. I'm going to go with them and think that we didn't get crap. And when I see it, I'll believe it. How's that?
And then in the hard part of what you just said there, Maz, when you see it, you'll believe it. It feels like if you do see it, it's going to be some years away. Yeah. And I think for so many sports fans here in Detroit, if not for the Lions, really, we would be just completely lost. Because for as close as we think the Red Wings are, I mean, did they wow you this offseason to the point where you think they can compete for a Stanley Cup or win a Stanley Cup playoff series? The Detroit Pistons are not even a top 10 team in the conference of 14 or 15 teams, whatever it is. They can't. They're a bottom 3 team in the conference. They can't even see their way out. And the Tigers, they just feel for as close as they are, as close as we think they are so far away because how they're doing it, the guys that they need to get good quickly, it's going to take some time. There's no quick fixes here, and I think that's really the hardest part.
And when the patience part for the Detroit Tigers fan base, Matt, speaking to you,
it's over.
And that's what I'm saying. But the patience is because the patience has been going on for too long. If you think about it, shouldn't have paid Miggy when you paid Miggy that. Then you don't get a Verlander at the right time. Then you never improve the bullpen in 2014. It's been starting and spiraling for a very long. The whole Al Avila experiment, etc. People have been waiting here in Detroit with the fan base for the Tigers ever since 2015. You've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and turn and turn and turn. So if it's unfair to Scott Harris, my apologies, but here we are, another move in, another period in, and you're not making the moves that I feel like give the Tigers a better chance to get to, just to get in the playoffs.
Listen to me. The Orioles and Tigers both come out and they said, we've never talked about Jackson Holliday. That's such bull crap. And Holliday was brought up yesterday, so he's on the big club again. We'll see what he does. Good luck to you, kid. But don't tell me that they never discussed the Skubal trade. That is such horse crap. Of course you discussed the Skubal trade. The Orioles picked up scraps yesterday. They picked up scrap arms. They picked up a washed-up guy from the White Sox as a hitter. They're going to overpay. It's malarkey. Don't tell me that they didn't say, hey, you want the best pitcher in baseball, Baltimore? Well, you're going to give us your best prospect. We already know what Skubal could do. We don't know what Jackson Holliday can do. We know what his dad did, but we don't know what he can do. I believe it's malarkey. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen in the winter meetings, but I'll wait because I just don't believe that the Tigers will spend the money to keep the players that we have. Now, if they kept Flaherty, they would have gotten a draft pick had he left, and they'd give him a qualifying offer. So I'd rather have had a freaking draft pick and held on to him and see if I could deal him in the winter than do what they did yesterday. If this kid turns out to be a good shortstop, I'll be happy. I'll be ecstatic to eat my words. They bring up Dylan Dingler, this catcher that they bring up, this prospect that's been toiling in the minors for years. Now he's ready. So what do? They trade for another catcher from the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't need catchers. They got Will Smith and a couple other guys. But what are you doing? I just don't know what they're doing. What happened yesterday, it's like the draft, the NFL draft. Oh, please don't take our guy. Fantasy draft. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, I hope Joe don't take this guy. Oh, my God, don't take him now. Scott Harris ran out of time yesterday. He played poker. He put in too much chips. No one matched him. They called his bluff. And at the end, he's like, the hell with it. Just, I'm out. Take him. That, to me, that's what he did. He lost the poker game.
Ooh. I'm not going to come here and rip Scott Harris today, but today to me is about two things. One, it's about venting as a Tigers fan.
That's what I'm doing.
That's one. And two, answering this question. And maybe it should be in this order. Answering this question and then venting about your Detroit Tigers. Are you closer to a World Series championship today than you were one day ago? And I think collectively, if you're honest with yourself, the answer to that question is an unequivocal no. You are not closer to a world championship today than you were yesterday. And I think that's the hardest reality to face if you're a Detroit Tigers baseball fan. I don't know any of these prospects. Yeah. I've never laid eyes on them. If they walked in this studio, I wouldn't know who they were, what position they played, what team they played, if they were a banker down the street or not. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know whether these kids can play baseball or not. But at the same time, I do know Jack Flaherty. I do know this team's record when they score more than 2 runs.
Yeah.
And I do know that this team had the pitching to be competitive in a wild card run and potentially even win a playoff series because of how good that pitching was. It feels like a waste of a season because first thing about baseball, man, is the pitching. If you can pitch, you got a chance. And just go look at the record when the Tigers score more than 2 runs.
Yeah, you know right.
And it just feels like they threw this season away. That's the hardest part.
I'll do you one better, Ryan. Even in the intermediary, I don't even need to ask the question, did we get closer to a championship? Did we get closer to getting to the playoffs? Because that's what this team, that's what this franchise, that's this owner at the end of the day, they owe this city, is to make it to the playoffs, provide some more excitement, give us a chance to be optimistic, go to playoff games. It's nothing like the playoffs in baseball. I mean, it's the Fall Classic. Did you get better at doing that? And the answer is no. They can't even. I don't even believe this team is in a position to make it to the playoffs this year. They already would have had a tough road ahead. Now, I think here we are starting all over trying to figure out what the offseason is going to look like in 2025.
Scott Harris did speak with the media last night. First on Jack Flaherty, on trading Jack Flaherty. This is from Bally Sports Detroit. Scott Harris on Flaherty.
Specifically with Jack, he as an individual deserves a ton of credit for what he has become as a pitcher. You know, at my opening press conference, I talked about wanting to be a place where players know that they can come and get better. There is no better example than Jack Flaherty. He came here after a rough year last year. He put his head down and he got to work immediately. We feel like we have a lot of guys in that clubhouse that really helped him along the way, but he's the one that put in all the work and became the player that he is right now. He's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball right now, and we're really proud of our ability as an organization to work together to help create an environment in which that can happen. When I reflect on this trade, that's the first thing I think of is when we signed Jack Flaherty, most people around this organization and around baseball didn't really expect him to be the pitcher that he is today. And so the fact that he came into this organization, got a whole lot better, demonstrated he can be one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, and he's leaving this organization better than he entered it, is a great sign of health, a great sign of progress for this organization.
So, go ahead, Bray.
2 things, and I don't know Scott Harris from a can of beans, so I don't want to make an assumption or anything like that. But it's somebody's body language I don't like. I like his body language when he was sitting up there and he's kind of talking. It just seems. We were asking the question, is he in over his head? That's been a question that's been asked a little bit around. It's not necessarily coming from us, but it's been out there. When you see just I don't know, maybe I'm reaching too much into it. Maybe I'm looking too hard into it, but something about that body language and even the answer. When you're talking about Jack Flaherty got better here, like I don't really think that was that mattered at all.
Yeah, and
so you trying to say they can develop players here? Is that the node to that?
Hey, look, they brought Harris in and his staff in from winning teams. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on this. They're a general manager, and I'm just a big sports fan that gets to talk on a mic for 28 years. That's what it comes down to. I'm not a general manager of a team, but I think I know sports pretty well. No, I don't know the minor leagues. I don't know what those poor guys go through, what they toil every day and get paid minimal. I don't know any of that. I just know that nothing has worked here in the past 10 years. That's all I know. What players in the last 10 years have you put out here besides Riley Green that you could hang your hat on? And Scooble, excuse me. Who? Tell me who. When you tell me who, and then you want to go with this and say, okay, it's all kumbaya, everything's going to be fine, then okay. Then I'll stand back. But please don't talk down to me. I'm talking to anyone that's out there that thinks I'm too much of an emotional guy. I love baseball. I watch probably more baseball than anybody I know.
Right, a whole check combined.
I'm telling you that. I love the game. It's my favorite freaking game. I was a Yankee fan growing up. I know what winning baseball looks like. I know what good drafts look like. Look at those Yankee teams that won all those World Series with Jeter, Mariano, Pettit, Jorge, all those guys. That's homegrown talent. Sure, they spend a lot of money, and they stink now, and they're not going to win anything. I know that. But you know what? This team cannot compete with anyone in Major League Baseball the way they're going right now. There is no superstar out there on this team. There's no one to hang your hat on. That's all I'm saying.
Man, let me ask you a question. Is it fair to compare GMs in different sports just based on how they are? It doesn't matter if the sport is hockey, if the sport is baseball, if it's basketball, if it's football. A competent GM is a competent GM, correct? Is that the process? Yep. When you have enough of a time, you can see what a GM is. This is what year for Scott Harris?
2?
This is year 2 or 3? 2.5?
Yeah.
He's been here since 22.
22, so this is his second trade deadline?
Year.
I asked that question to say not everybody was sure of Brad Holmes in year 1, right? Trying to bring it to the Lions. Not everybody was sure of Brad Holmes.
Football's different, though.
And that's why I asked.
They have automatic. You draft someone, they're playing already.
First, second, third.
In baseball, you're drafting someone, they're not playing for 5 years.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you draft like the Texas Rangers and you put a superstar on the field already, like they did in Langford.
I just asked the question because it just seems like at each period that you've been here, when it was time to make a move, it just doesn't seem like the right moves have been made. I think more so than anything, that's what I was trying to say.
Here's Scott Harris talking about that he believes they are getting better. I think all of us disagree, right? But the general manager of the team, the guy that's picking the players, has to say it.
Of course.
Yeah, my message to the fans is look around and see how much healthier the organization is, see the momentum that we have here, see the young talent we have in the big leagues and the young talent that we've added in just the last year and a half. Like whether you want to look at top 100 prospect list, whether you want to look at the past 2 drafts, whether you want to look at a few of the trades that we have made over time, like we feel like we are building this the right way. We feel like anyone who walks into this building can look around and see that there is positive momentum in this organization. And the second message is to thank the fans for supporting us throughout this. Like I think the fans that are following us on a daily basis really see these flashes. They see players like Cole Keith become the player that he is right now and know that he's going to continue to get better. They see Reese Olson, come from a really rough start in AAA to what he's become as a big league starter, who gives us a chance to win every 5th day when he's on the field and when he's back from the current shoulder injury. I think when you walk into our clubhouse, as many of you guys do, like you can look around and you can see that things are changing here. It doesn't mean we're there yet, because we're not there yet. But we're undoubtedly heading the right direction with a lot of positive momentum, and I feel really good about it, and I hope that the fans can feel that.
Scott, you with Carson Kelly and the trade with him, how much?
The thing with Scott Harris too, I'm just looking around and my guy Chris Getz.
He's getting crushed.
Whether it's Scott Harris or my guy Chris Getz, in Chicago for the White Sox, these guys are getting killed. These guys are getting universally killed.
Yankee fans want to run Brian Cashman out of town. I've been wanting to run him out for the past 5 years.
Is it fair?
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, if you just look at the White Sox, for instance, okay? The White Sox, in their 100-plus year history, have never won a playoff series in a year where they didn't win the World Series. And that was one.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you think of like where the organization is as a whole, it's not like they stand on some bastion of historical relevance in baseball.
They're on their way to history, though.
They won the World Series one year. That franchise, that organization has never won a playoff series outside of that 2005 World Series or whatever they.
And the Tigers have won 2 World Series since World War II.
Basically, it's hard as hell to do those jobs.
It is hard. And, whether you're in your 30s like Scott Harris or you're in your early 40s like Chris Getz or whether you're in your 60s like Brian Cashman, everybody knows better than you.
Yeah.
Everybody does. And you know what? The only person that matters is the owner. And if the owner feels confident in the direction that you are going, you keep your job. If he isn't, you lose your job. It's just that simple. And I watched Hard Knocks last night.
Me too.
And I thought it was a boring episode.
It was.
It was basically a bunch of NFL draft stuff that you
was a
see on
wrap-up.
Twitter. It was like
Yeah.
a wrap-up. It was actually a great show and a boring final episode. But that to me is an owner that doesn't think too much of his general manager.
You see the looks that John Mara gives
I
him.
know. It's almost like he's in such pain.
Yes.
So I would love to see what Chris Ilitch really thinks of Scott Harris. I would love to see what Jerry Reinsdorf really thinks of Chris Getz. I'd really love to see what some of these owners really think of the guys that are calling the shots for their organizations. It's just, we sit here and I don't know if they pay attention to anything that people like us say or not. You imagine that they would, but it's so hard to basically hear a bunch of stuff that, guys, I guess we don't know what the hell we're talking about. I mean, when it comes down to it, we just don't. I'll tell you. And again, it goes back to the Jackson Holiday stuff. Maybe, Maz, let's just, for instance, okay?
Yeah.
Let's just assume, Braylon,
Yep.
that the report was accurate, that Baltimore and Detroit never even discussed the possibility of Scuba. Let's just say that never happened. And then for weeks upon weeks, you got to trade Jackson Holiday for Scooble if you're an Orioles fan.
Yeah.
Or, do you think people in Baltimore feel pretty good about their team right now or no?
I think they're pissed, but I'm happy. I think they're happy they held on to Holiday.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But do you think that they wake up today and think that they're ready to go face Soto, Judge, Stanton, and Rizzo in an ALCS Game 7 at Yankee Stadium with the pitching that they have? Everybody is pissed this morning.
Yep. You're right.
Everybody, except maybe the Dodgers.
Right.
The Dodgers got
They're
Flaherty.
always
They
happy.
don't. They're
happy.
They gave away. They don't care who they gave away.
They don't.
Other than the Dodgers, do you think, as much as we love Dave Dombrowski, I think Dave Dombrowski is the best general manager in the sport.
Yeah.
Phillies feel like a little shallow too.
Do you think Phillies fans
They're
are
pissed.
upset that they didn't match a move like the Dodgers got Flaherty?
Why didn't we get Flaherty?
What about in Boston this morning? Do you
I mean,
think
they
Boston
love
Red
that.
Sox fans wake up? They're just on the outside looking in. A game out of the wild card beginning today, I believe. You think Red Sox fans wake up this morning and they're like, oh, man, what a great day we had yesterday as an organization. We're going to go win the World Series now.
Good call.
Basically, every fan base in baseball, sans 2 or 3 of them, feels like they got gypped and feels like we all know more than what just happened yesterday. And I'm going to take a step back. I know it's very unpopular. I'm going to take a step back and let it play out. All that being said, I do believe today is a day to vent. And today is a day to ask yourself, are the Tigers, are the Red Sox, are the Phillies, are any baseball organization after yesterday closer to a World Series title or further away? And I do think you wake up today and feel like the Tigers are further away than closer to.
Funny, you linked the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers together. Both their owners own 2 franchises. Maybe there's a lot going on in those other franchises than the actual ones over here.
Guys, we're going to take a break. Expected to be joined by Tigers television voice Jason Benetti. We'll do that next. But first, a message from the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Michigan.
That's right. Register now for tackle football and cheerleading, 3C Sports. It is the best league in town, and all the cheer coaches are vetted. Register for football and cheer at bgcsm.org. Equipment, meals, and transportation included for a chance to play the championship at Ford Field, the same home as the Detroit Lions. The Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan's 3C Sports. Register now. And while you're at it, sign up for Planet Fitness with over 50 metropolitan Detroit locations. This is the place you want to be because your fitness is essential. Home of the judgment-free zone, so you can work out at your own pace to the tune and the beat of your own drum while enjoying a great workout. Squeaky clean gym, check. And also, there is no extra charge for trainers. They come with all memberships. Planet Fitness, your fitness is essential.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Ham for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
Any Lady Jane's haircuts for men, and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
Hey, gang, welcome back. Woodward Sports. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazaway on a Wednesday afternoon, final day of the month of July. Feels like summer's over. Right?
Once you get to August, once training camp happens.
August.
That used to be in my summers. Once training camp got here, I was done. So
Right.
it does feel like it's near.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, pleasure to be joined now as we bring him in. The Tigers television voice on Bally Sports Detroit, among so many other jobs that he has. Jason Benetti joins us here on Woodward Sports. Hey, Jason, how are you?
It's only one other job. Fox Sports, we're down to one other job. We're raring to go. Glad to be with you guys.
Well,
Hey,
yeah,
Jason.
let me clarify. But you got football, you got baseball, you're ramping it up for all of it. Jason, let me ask you, because one of the things we were just talking about today was I feel like whether you're a Tigers fan, a White Sox fan, a Red Sox fan, a Yankees fan, this is a day where the fan bases wake up and it's a day to vent. You know, it's a date event. We didn't get X, Y, or Z at the trade deadline. And what did you make of what the Tigers did yesterday? And how should the fans feel today as they wake up on July 31st?
I really, truly feel this. Everybody should feel how they want to feel. Like you after the trade deadline, people are going to read everything that they're going to read, and they're going to feel how they want to feel. And I have found over the course of time that assessing the trade deadline and or trades in the offseason the day after make you feel like a weather person, where like, yeah, you're right, like 30% of the time, probably on average. And then like, who knows where it goes. I've seen the gamut of White Sox trades in my 8 years over there, like the Chris Sale deal for Moncada and Kopech, along with the deal they made with the Nationals to get Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez, which turned out to be a really high value trade. And people thought that at the time. They also made a trade in 2017 at the deadline that was for Todd Frazier and Tommy Kahnle. They got 4 guys, and it was in the industry reputed as a pretty good trade for Ian Clarkin, Tito Polo, Tyler Clippard, and Blake Rutherford, none of whom, Tyler Clippard obviously had a great career, and Blake just made his major league debut recently last year, but it ended up not being a huge value. So I've seen both sides of it, and I think everybody should feel what they're going to feel. In the end, though, what ends up happening with players, to me, the thing that you can most count on after a deadline is the teams with the best developmental ability tend to get the most out of those trades normally. So that how I feel is this will be a win or a loss, quote unquote, based on how everybody gets developed.
And Jason, one of the things that feels, frustrating to me about this season is I feel like the Tigers had the pitching and have the pitching to really make a run at a wild card. Really, even heaven forbid, if they were to get in, they have the pitching to even win a series. Offensively, this team has not been what we thought it was. I mean, the Parker Meadows and Spencer Torkelson, guys that you relied on earlier in the year, it never worked out for them. And of course, Parker Meadows is hurt. How would you characterize this season? Frustrating, about what you thought it was? How would you characterize this season so far?
My personal opinion ends up being, slightly colored by where I came from, because I did see a rebuild that didn't work, although it did work for a year. The White Sox won 2021's American League Central and looked like they were on their way up. So to me, and after having called 10 years in the minors, I've seen, hard pivots of individual careers and of team fortunes as well. So I guess I'm like less prone to frustration because I've kind of seen it all. But then I talk to people who follow, and I completely understand their frustration. So like me being an even-keeled narrator of a team isn't the only story here, because like I get why people are frustrated. I joined up with a franchise in the middle of 10 years of not making the postseason. Like I get that, and it's frustrating for me because I want everybody here to see the joy that they've had before and a while ago. So I get why people are frustrated, and like there have been times in this season where I've watched and I've gone, man, how can the offense look so good one day and then so non-existent another day? And then I look at like the individual performances. And like everybody should know, I also made a life choice here to come to Detroit, and I believe this team is going to win. Like I wouldn't have come here to narrate if I thought this team was going to lose, I wouldn't have come here to want to narrate that. And I promise you, I still believe in the developmental ability of this organization because I've seen it with Colt Keith. Like for me, Colt Keith, Justin Henry Malloy in part, Riley Green, like there are really good signs, but I also get that nobody really wants to hear that when you're 5 games under 500. So where I am is I've seen a lot of baseball. I tend to stay even keeled because I've seen hard pivots, but I really do get it. And I've felt the frustration because I know there's talent on this team and I want them to win badly for people who watch on a nightly basis that I really appreciate spending the time with us.
Jason, Braylon Edwards here. Big fan of your work. I love your wit mixed in with the organic flow of the game. It's very, very romanticizing as Matt says about baseball. So appreciate you here in Detroit. Quick question. I was on your your social media page on Twitter, or X as they say, and you had a big picture of the Golden Glove. And your question was, when you think Golden Glove, what's the first person that comes to mind? I want to ask you, who's the first person that comes to mind for you when you think Golden Glove?
Oh, wow. Probably Joe Louis. No, I'm going for the offhanded comment. Yeah.
There you go. I like that.
Wow. First Gold Glover, I think that's a really tough one. But I really do think boxing first when you say Golden Glove. I will say it's very bizarre to have Braylon Edwards say that he enjoys my work because like I always enjoyed watching you high point a ball and making life miserable on defensive backs.
I appreciate that. 1983 kids, man. We got to stick together. The 83 we got to stick together.
What's your birthday? What's your birthday in 83?
February 21st.
All right, I'm September 9th, so we'll have an 83 party. Congratulations on 40, by the way. Do you feel awful?
It's funny. I didn't think I would, but I don't know. 40 kind of, what's going on? What am I doing in my life? When am I shape? Ooh, what's this? How did this get here? It was like that for a second, but you snap out of it. 40 is the new 41.
That's awesome. I will say, like, I was on a text thread with some friends of mine from high school this morning, and they were texting about like some of the words their kids use because they saw the thing on social media about me sneaking in words into the broadcast the other day.
We
And
have
they're
that
like, some of the
video.
words-
We have to play that
What's that?
video. We have that video. We got to play it for everyone so they know what you're talking about. Hit it, Pete.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct.
Here we go.
Jason Benetti to use on the broadcast tonight.
Funky Town.
You can get transported to Funky Town very quickly.
Yellowtail.
Like you're not down there eating yellowtail and
Tango.
well, Dan, it takes two to tango. So
Fortnite.
and here comes noted Fortnite player Colt Keith.
Birdie.
Little birdie told me that you are a Fortnite player.
Pineapples.
You got pineapples for brains. What do you got?
Flabbergasted.
At what pitch were you officially flabbergasted?
Perpendicular.
His bat can be perpendicular to the ground.
Beauty.
You're at Comerica Park, and she is a beauty.
Moist.
Humid, moist atmosphere. Go grab a croissant or something. There is an aura around that ballpark. If you're a possible trade target at like 1 o'clock tomorrow, don't go buy a ticket for the Avengers.
Oh, this is good.
That is good stuff, Jason.
That is great stuff. Right?
They got you down, man. They got you down pat.
At 100%.
Hey, we used to play in AAA. I was in a booth with Kevin Brown, who's one of my close friends, the voice of the Baltimore Orioles, who became famous for
He's
reasons
tremendous.
that he would Yeah, he's really good. We used to hand each other a word right before we were getting ready to call a half inning, like as we were coming back from break, and we had that half inning to get it in without being ham-handed about it. But yeah, so I was saying it, Braylon, like I'm on this text thread where my friends are talking about their kids and the words they're using. I'm like, yeah. I suddenly got really old very fast.
It's so funny you say that. Yesterday I was talking to my girlfriend, and her daughter was telling her about the different ways to wear socks to spot a millennial. And I love ankle socks. I mean, I think ankle socks are easy to wear. They're more air going. It's very chill. Come to find out if you wear ankle socks, the fastest way to spot a millennial. And I didn't know I was considered a millennial by these Gen Z kids. So needless to say, I got on mid-quarters today.
What do boomers wear, Bray? What do boomers wear?
Probably up to your knees. Probably depends. All right.
Hey, what kind of socks do you have on right now, Jason?
What kind? I go color. I go full color socks.
Okay.
So I'm a big like sock game guy. Do you really want to see what sock I have on? I'll take.
Yeah, why not? Okay. No, you don't have to do that.
Now I'm currently wearing one sock, and here it is.
There you go.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh my God, you guys have a great time in that booth, man. It's so fun to watch your broadcast, no matter who you're with. If it's Dan, if it's Todd Jones, if it's Carlos, if it's Kirk Gibson, it is so much fun to watch you guys. Even if the game isn't as good as we want it to be, I really enjoy tuning into you. I tuned in when you were with Steve Stone with the White Sox. I listened to your college football games on Fox as well. Jason, you are one in a million, and we're happy to have you here.
Hey, that's really nice of you. I really do appreciate it, and I give a lot of credit to the analysts that I have, especially, Dan Petrie as a 1980. Yeah, like Dan as a 1984 guy, right? Could easily be the get off my lawn dude. You know what I mean? He played 40 years ago. He could easily be like, I'm not joking around. Also, batting average and win-loss record are the only thing that's important. And he could easily reject stuff. And he doesn't. He's a highly curious person. And I give credit to Gibby for that, too. They could very easily be guys who say, you know what, this is the way it was when I played. And I don't get that from them. They want to have fun when it's a blowout game. And, I hope people realize, too, when it's a close game, I love nothing more than the drama of a moment. It's why college football and college basketball appeal to me. And it's also why, I really hope everything this deadline pans out. I really want, Tyrone Lorenzo and Trey Sweeney and all of those guys to pan out, because there is nothing better than a ballpark that's living and dying with every pitch. And we've seen it a couple times this year with big crowds. Like the Dodger comeback that Sunday before the All-Star break was one of those enlivening moments in downtown that I was like, man, if this thing goes right, and I really do, after a half season, 2/3 of a season, completely kind of understand why people get really frustrated when it's not going that well, because everybody here who's been a generational Tigers fan knows what it's like when that place is nuts, and it is nuts. And I really hope for everyone's sake that we get there sooner rather than later in still what seems like a more challenging than expected, but gettable division that the Tigers still should compete in the near future. That's my hope. And this deadline will have something to say about it for sure.
Let me ask you this, Jason. It's something you probably can't answer or you don't know the answer to it, but did you talk to your buddy Kevin Brown of the Orioles and kind of say, hey, you guys should take Skubal and we should take Jackson Holiday and a couple of those young guys to plug in here? Or are you on the team that says they never talked about that trade?
So I two things. Number one, I called Kevin Brown yesterday morning and I said, you guys taking one of our pitchers?
Yeah.
And he was like, I have no idea. I was like, I don't know either. And then we started talking about something else. But going to law school, I took a class about negotiation, one class with a guy who has recently passed in the last year. His name was Ralph Peoples. He was a professor that used to come hang out in the booth when I was in AAA. He loved baseball and was a huge Cleveland Indians, now Guardians fan. And we used to do like mock negotiations and things like that. And I do love it. And there's nothing that I would really love more than to be in the room while these negotiations are happening. Yep. Because the most interesting part of it to me, I will say, is like, you think you know what the market is, and then some pitchers don't come off the board. And then you're left with a market that you didn't expect the market was going to be. Like Garrett Crochet getting traded would have affected the market for a guy like Tanner Scott, Jack Flaherty, any starting pitcher out there, and some relief pitchers as well. So it's highly interesting to me, the inner workings of it. And I wish I could be in that room just once, because I'm sure there are a lot of conversations going at the same time. But the hardest part from everything people have told me is isolating the variable of where supply meets demand, because you think you know, and you're kind of trying to drive it up when you're selling, but you don't know until it's over, right? The market doesn't get set until everyone turns into a pumpkin.
Yep. The closest we've ever gotten, and we always talk about, we wish we were in an NFL draft room. But to be a general manager for a day, like I watch Moneyball 100 times a year, and I can't get that scene out of my head when Billy Bean, quote unquote, is on the phone and he's calling Dave Dombrowski and he's calling Steve Phillips and all over the place. And man, would I love to do that.
Yeah, it would be the ideal situation. I've asked a couple GMs I know, front office people I know, questions like, who's most likely to send emojis instead of words, right? And they all have an answer. It's just like our group text threads that we have with our friends. They're just deciding the fate of baseball teams that we all care about. And I will say, like, of what we know publicly, I would wager it's something like 10% of what actually happened with every trade. Like I was in the White Sox clubhouse last year when the Jake Berger trade happened to Miami. And I will tell you, people know about 1% of what happened there. So like, I've seen it from both sides. So I do tend to not judge as much based on public information, simply because I've seen how some of it works. And I know that there's a lot more negotiating that's happening than we ever hear about. That's not to defend anybody's position. It's just like, I was surprised when the story came out about the Flaherty Yankees stuff that Ken Rosenthal wrote last night. But I also wasn't surprised, because I'm certain a lot of that happens over the course of time. And I bet you there are like 12 other data points in all of those deals, at least, that haven't been reported.
Hey, Jason, final question, and I certainly appreciate all your time. We all certainly appreciate your time. I wanted to ask you.
We wish we could have an hour.
Yeah, I'll talk to you for 2
It's your
hours.
off day.
I wanted to ask you about the White Sox. You mentioned the White Sox a couple of times. Chris Getz, the general manager there, is a good friend of mine. We went to the same high school. I'm rooting for him over there. It's a terrible season. It's a horrible season. He's getting killed over there. You wake up this morning, Scott Harris is getting killed here. Everybody knows more than the guys that are in the chair. You know, one of the things about the job of being a general manager, though, like, what would you say to these guys? We're big football fans. We mentioned the Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell. Year one of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell with the Lions, people want to run them out of town halfway through the season. And if that were to happen, we wouldn't be in the spot we're in now as an organization with the Lions. Now they'll never buy themselves another meal in the city of Detroit because of how they've turned things around in the last 3 years. What would you say to guys like Chris Getz or guys like Scott Harris when you're in the fire right now? When you're in the fire, what would you say to those guys about just putting your head down and keeping it going?
I would say the same thing that I would say to literally everybody, including myself, but it's hard to do when it's your livelihood. Like, the best advice I've ever gotten is this too shall pass. You know, you win games, it'll all work out. If you don't, it won't. And it'll all be a data point on the train of getting to one of two stations, a winning legacy or a losing legacy. And like, when I make a mistake on the air, I go home with it and I sit with it, but I also realize I get to do it again tomorrow, and things can change very, very rapidly in this business, for good or for bad. So I do remind myself, like when I'm narrating Colt Keith's first month and a half, it is very easy instinctively to say he's not going to hit this year. But then I remember situations like in the minors that I saw where guys are fantastic for a while and then they're not as good, and then they get to the majors and they're outstanding again. Everybody has the ability to get better at something and to change the course of their history as a season and their career goes on. And what's interesting is in short form, you say that and you really do sound like a shill for whatever team you're working for as a team announcer, because it's easy to say, well, trust the process. I don't mean that when I say these things. I just mean that we don't know what anybody's going to be in a given moment. And I don't mean to be maudlin, but like if in 2001, when I came out of high school, they made a list of great year, Braylon. If they made a list of the top 30 young announcers and like the possible TV careers of all of them, nobody's putting the kid with cerebral palsy in the top 10 because of the look. Like, they're just not going to do it. So I tend to believe people can change more than the average American. So that's where I sit while I do games, for better or for worse. Every worldview comes with trade-offs. But where I sit is I feel like people can change and get better. And until they prove to me otherwise, I assume that's going to happen, which makes me sometimes a little Pollyannish, but it's really fulfilling when people actually do it.
I think that's fantastic, Jason. We are so lucky to have you in Detroit. We're huge fans of yours. One guy who will not change, one guy who will never change, though, is Jim Leland. It's Jim Leland night on Saturday. On Saturday, first 15,000 fans. What's your interactions been like with him? I'm sure you've seen him around the park.
They're giving out fake mustaches.
So I came and I did a Fox game last year, Tigers and Twins, and I got to meet him very briefly in the clubhouse. But we're having him on the Have a Seat podcast. Dan and I are. I believe we're taping on Friday.
Oh, that's awesome.
And my goal is to, and I haven't done this since high school, but my goal is to smoke a cigarette with Jim Leland.
Oh, I've done that before. It's awesome.
Make sure it's a Marlboro.
I've done that before. It's awesome. Jason, thanks so much, my friend. We cannot thank you enough for your time. Huge fans of yours, and continued success, and go Tigers.
God bless, man.
Thank you, guys. Go Tigers. Appreciate it. And Braylon, I hope we can do like a DB drill one day just to make me feel like I got the full experience.
We'll cover a game and in return, we'll do some DB drill.
I love it.
See you, Jason.
Thanks,
Thank you,
man.
buddy.
Hey, again, I want to let you know, Jim Leland Day on Saturday. First 15,000 fans get a Jim Leland starter pack.
Yep.
How great is that?
Glasses, a hat, mustache.
Oh, my gosh.
And I think season ticket holders, or if you buy this special package and you go on tigers.com/Jim Leland, you'll find all the packages. There's even a T-shirt you could get if you get that certain package. So get on there, pack the house on Saturday, and show your love. Maybe bring some champagne to share with them.
When I used to cover spring training in Lakeland, I always had a lighter on the ready for Jim Leland when I was smoking. Been 6 years since I quit, though.
That's good, man.
Very
You've done
good.
a lot of good things. Though, lately.
Yeah, you have.
And a lot of bad things, too, but it's all good.
In the past.
Right. Guys, we're going to take a break. Okay. When we come back, it is a Wolverine Wednesday, baby. We're talking a little Michigan football with our guy, Intern Alex. Michigan football credentialed. Intern Alex, that's right. He's going to be covering the Wolverines for us this year. That's right. We'll talk to Intern AI. We'll do that next. We got a lot of reads here we got to get to, including the injury insider, Dr. Jeff Pierce.
All right. You know he's coming tomorrow. He will be here with us as he's with Big D Energy. Of course, on Tuesdays, it's Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine.com. Trust the guy that DMAC and Braylon trust. He's going to keep your game going and keep you at performing at your best. Visit him at MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944. Dr. Jeff S. Pierce.
And,
of course, he takes his pet. We all take our pets to Premier Pet Supply. Hands down, Michigan's best pet store, family-owned and operated for over 30 years. 13 Metro Detroit locations, over 60 brands of food at the lowest prices available, and, of course, curbside delivery if you need it. Nutritionists on call for any question about your pet. Give them a try today. It's PremierPetSupply.com.
And
it's Mark White. Hey, guys, you know the scoop. It's Mark White, dreaming of a new home but feeling the financial pinch. Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. I said $5,000. Give them a try today, 248-290-8242. Check them out online at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White and Associates today, 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
thank you, bro.
Thank
Well
you
done.
to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Ham for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out PremierPetSupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody!
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Yo, let me just say, I love Planet Fitness.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home?
Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
Any Lady Jane's haircuts for men, and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's haircuts for men. It's wicked awesome.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
Hey, gang, let me tell you about Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. That's exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. Same great service that customers have come to know and trust. Located in Ferndale on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. And if you're looking for a Chevy or a Cadillac, Les Stanford in Dearborn, where they have been on Michigan Avenue for over 55 years. You can find the brand you want under one umbrella, LesStanford.com, LesStanford.com.
Together. Let's drive.
And you can drive on over to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Awesome is where a guy can be a guy and get an amazing haircut. That's Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Stop in, sit back, relax. Let one of Lady Jane's talented stylists make you look and feel great. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in anytime, 7 days a week. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
You know what else is wicked awesome? That's right. Soroki's, ladies and gentlemen. Nashville Hot is back before limited time only. The Nashville pizza, the hot style pizza that is, the tenders, the fries, and chicken tender sandwich. But wait, there's more. Crispy chicken and pizza alone are why Soroki's open, and it's popping up all over metropolitan Detroit with the fresh salads, fresh size, by the way. Come eat the delicious heat. You thought I forgot? No, I didn't. And also, grab those biscuits, Honey Made, on the way out the door. Nashville Hot, but only for a limited.
All right, gang, hour number 2 of the program. Let's talk some Michigan football. It is Wolverine Wednesday, brought to you by our friends at Skinny Butcher. Live in studio once again, our good friend Intern Alex, who's no longer an intern, but we use the moniker because it sounds good. Credentialed member of the Michigan football media, going to be covering the Wolverines for us here at Woodward Sports this year. Alex, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. You know, a month until kickoff. Can't wait. You know, let's start the season already.
Officially 1 month from kickoff, Bray.
Speaking of kickoff, did you see those locker rooms that they unveiled?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. State of the art. Yo, Alex, it looked nothing like that when I went there. But when you win national championship, $14 million locker room is what you deserve, right, Ryan?
That's right. Well, you talk about, just quickly,
Sheesh.
we'll talk about upgrading those facilities.
Yeah.
And, it feels like it, and hard to believe that Michigan, wasn't in the same conversation when it comes to those amenities that some of the other big programs were. But you're right. You win the national championship, and that's what the expectation is for all of these kids. They want the hot uniforms. They want the locker rooms. They want the facilities, the weight rooms, everything like that. That is important to kids these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's super important to have your facilities up to grade. College football is one of the few sports where everything's competition. There's no parity. There's no draft. So you need those good facilities out there to go and impress recruits and help bring the best talent and make Michigan and Schembechler Hall a place that the players really want to be and live in. So, yeah, finally busting out those new and improved locker rooms is something that's great and will only help the program going forward.
Alex, let me ask you about the news of the week that I feel like we know nothing about yet, and that is the notice of allegations against Michigan when it comes to the Connor Stallion sign-stealing investigation. I don't believe Michigan has that as of yet. We don't know what the penalty will be. College Football Report on X says, according to Chris Ballas from the Wolverine, the NCAA could be seeking a 1 to 2 year postseason ban for Michigan. Michigan will fight back, but again, speculation only. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, and it's all speculation until it comes out. But I find it really hard to believe that Michigan ultimately will end up with a postseason ban. The Stallions and sign stealing thing, that's going to be really hard to prove, especially since, it kind of came out that Connor Stallions was not cooperative with the investigators. Then the recruiting front, those will be able to be approved more, because apparently, there's receipts and stuff that show. But if you look at the Kansas basketball scandal from a few years ago, they didn't even receive a postseason ban for something that, they were able to prove and had way bigger implications with boosters from Adidas coming in. So I really find it unlikely that Michigan football will ever see a postseason ban from this scandal.
And again, so much is made, Bray, of the Connor Stalions Untold Netflix documentary, which will air later in the month of August. Charlie Langton at Fox 2, my colleague there, actually had a interview with Ward Manuel recently, and that'll air on Fox 2 coming up in about a week or so. But he asked Ward if he had anything to worry about when it came to the Connor Stalions Untold. He said, I'm not even going to watch. I probably will not even watch because he knows the information. He has the information. He knows. And I don't think the higher-ups at Michigan, and maybe this is, in my own mind, but I think that the higher-ups at Michigan are comfortable with their role in this, which was nothing. They didn't know any of this.
Yeah, 100%. We saw this thing play out last year with the NCAA and Tony Petitti. The Big Ten went to the NCAA. The NCAA went to the Big Ten. They went back and forth about who was going to place a levy on the situation. The NCAA told us what they found. Nothing. They told us last year they didn't find anything. They didn't see any reason to move forward. The Big Ten chose to still do their own deal and suspend Jim Harbaugh 3 games. That penance has been paid. They couldn't do anything last year. They're not going to take this offseason and find something different after this documentary, which wasn't made in their light, in their favor. So I think Michigan is in the clear. But once again, something just to come out right before football season to tell the other recruits out there, hey, Michigan is still under surveillance. Nothing to it. Nothing burger, in your word.
Alex, let me talk to you about what's happening on the field. And just coming off of Big Ten Media Days. And I do think Sharon Moore made an impression with the media, with the fan base, with the players, what the goals are at Michigan. To beat your rivals, to win the Big Ten, to make the playoff, to win the national championship. That is the goal at Michigan. He's not backing down from any of that. Year 1, year 10, year nothing. I think that's important for fans and the players to hear. Do you as well?
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100%. Like, football is, the most aggressive and violent sport we have in America that we all enjoy. And, if you're the head coach at Michigan, we have high standards and we expect, excellence every year. Every year we don't beat Ohio State is a failure in my book, even if we win a playoff game or two. It starts first and foremost with beating them. Then you have to go on, win the Big Ten and win the national championship. And, we just got a taste of a national championship for the first time in 26 years. And I think we're all really not ready to go back to not having that, every year. I don't want the season to end in a loss like it will most years if we don't win a national championship. So I think it's good that he's coming out with this full-on aggressive competitive mindset that Michigan so much needs.
What do we know about the quarterback situation? That is always the first, second, and third thing you talk about when it comes to football. Defensively,
especially at Michigan over the last 15 years.
Absolutely. Defensively, we feel they're going to be all right. But what is the status of Alex Orji now? Is he the QB1 at Michigan?
So actually in his press conference yesterday, Kurt Campbell talked about in fall camp, everyone's going to get reps with the first team based on how old they are. So that means Jack Tuttle is going to start off getting the most reps with the first team because he's in the same recruiting class as Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields.
It's incredible.
And he's still in college somehow. And then it's going to work its way on down there with Davis Warren, then Alex Orji, Jaden Denegal, and then Jaden Davis. But I really feel like it's Alex Orji's job for the taking. No other quarterback brings as much of a ceiling to this room this year than him. Just the ability he has with his legs and what a strong build he has. I think if Orji doesn't get it, Michigan's looking at some big problems coming down the stretch this season.
How much of that is psychology? Your psychology, hey, or fairness. It's like, look, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the older guy, say we did it through seniority and leadership. Meanwhile, we kind of know the guy that we want. Less reps gives him a better chance in their mind and not just give him the job. Kind of psychological warfare, if you think about it.
Yeah, it's good, to try to push, forward the Jim Harbaugh, ultimate football meritocracy out there. Yeah. But I think, we all kind of know if a game's really on the line, are we going to trust Jack Tuttle? Like, he hasn't really proven anything to us, in 7 years of college. But, there might be a situation where we can't get anything going passing against Texas or Oregon, and we need to rely on our quarterback's legs, like we saw, Ohio State had to do so much during the Urban Meyer years out there. If JT Barrett wasn't getting it done through the air, he would, keep it on the ground with him, and that's how he beat a lot of teams.
Smith, yeah.
Oh, that's why I think we need Alex Orji to ultimately be the guy this year.
A couple of different positions offensively because I'm really intrigued by this offense. Over the last couple of years, this team's bread and butter has been their offensive line. They won the award for the best offensive line in back-to-back years and sent so many players to the NFL over the last couple of years. And now here we sit as the defending national champs. It looks like a little bit of a revamped offensive line. The running back, the quarterback, the best wide receiver, everybody in the NFL from last year's team. How much of a calling card will this offensive line be? How close to last year and the year before will this offensive line be?
I think it's going to be pretty close, in all honesty with you. We're returning Miles Hinton, who has all the tools and build to be a first-round NFL offensive tackle, just like his dad was, who went number 4 in the NFL draft. Then you have guys like Giovanni Al-Hadi, who started for Michigan before and has been waiting in the wings for years to be able to play, and he's been developing under Moore. Josh Preeb, the transfer from Northwestern, was second-team All-Big Ten, so that's about as plug-and-play as you can get at this point. And then you have, position battles at right tackle and center, but at both of them, they're, with guys who have been in the Michigan program for 3 or 4 years, have really been developing under Moore and Newsome. So even though it's a brand new offensive line for the looks of it, there isn't really much to worry about, in my opinion.
Let me ask you this question, Ryan, and you can comment in on it too, Alex. How much is it on Michigan to win this year, to have a good season on the heels of what happened last year with the whole, you talked about, I'm going to go back to that, the Connor Stallion situation. How much is it Michigan has to have a really good year to make you forget about what Connor Stallion was, or is it already in the rear view?
Oh, I've already forgotten about that. I think Michigan absolutely earned their championship last year. You go through Penn State, Ohio State, Iowa in the Big Ten championship, Alabama, and then Washington.
Yeah.
I think you've earned your championship. I don't even think about that. I just think now of continued excellence. Once you have a taste of that pie, you want to go back and have another piece of that pie.
True.
The national championship, my goodness, that was a dream for so many of us. How many people called Michigan fan out for saying, oh, my goodness, the Big Ten, beating Ohio State and winning the Big Ten is your ceiling.
Exactly.
But you aren't going to be college football national championship relevant until you do it. And Michigan did it last year, and now you want to do it again this year. And it does feel like, and Alex, we talked about this last week, I think Michigan is going to be a much better team at the end of the year than they will be at the beginning of the year, just based on experience alone.
Yeah, I think Michigan's ultimately going to get better throughout the year. You're breaking such a new offense. But I think, kind of when you zoom out from the macro perspective, I almost look at this Michigan team like when Bob Stoops handed over the reins at Oklahoma to Lincoln Riley. If Sherrone Moore can really come out of the gate hard and prove, this year, last year people argued Jim Harbaugh's still in the building, 6 days of the week when Sherrone Moore's the interim head coach. But if he can come out this year and go out there, maybe win the Big Ten, make a deep run in the playoffs, and really prove that he is an elite head coach and he is here to stay for a while, that'll just send the program on a skyrocketing upward trajectory for the next decade plus to come, I think.
Are you calling Alex Orji Baker Mayfield? That's all I'm asking.
Let me see if he takes a snap against Fresno State first. So,
what's your expectation for Donovan Edwards this season? I think last year, many of us were surprised. It felt like during the regular season he took a step back. Certainly didn't get the carries, the touches.
He had that injury too that came out kind of later in the year.
Even that though, it was a part of it. Just not part of the game plan that many of us felt like he was going to be. Even before last season, he said, this was my last year at Michigan. I'm going to go to the NFL, and that was the expectation for him. We saw what he could do in the playoffs against Alabama, in the national championship game against Washington. This guy is electric. Can we expect that for a full season this year? And who is behind Donovan Edwards? Michigan has always had a stable of running backs to choose from. Whether it's Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. Now it's Donovan Edwards and who?
So first with Donovan Edwards and what we can expect out of him. We've seen his speed and breakaway prowess out there on the field many times before. But the things he can work on, last year he said he was going to the NFL after that, but this year he seems way more focused and self-impressors about focusing on this upcoming season for him. He's opened up about having to go to a sports psychologist, recovering from his injury at the end of the 2022 season. And then for him, the big things to work on there were the weaknesses in his game were, his ability to run through contact, which he went out and put on 15 pounds of muscle this offseason, which should surely help with that. And then also his ball carrier vision, which is something that is very coachable and fixable. So when you combine that in his rushing ability and his receiving ability, I think we should be expecting 13 to 1,400 all-purpose yards for him on the season. Then behind him, we have Kalal Mullings, who's a bigger power back. You can do stuff with him with blocking, but who I'm really excited about is Jordan Marshall, the 4-star running back out of Ohio who Michigan beat head-to-head in recruitment for, a 2-time Gatorade High School Player of the Year in that state, and the first Mr. Football Michigan has gotten from the state of Ohio since Charles Woodson. So I'm really hoping for him to come in and break out and really be a guy that can't be left off the field because he's so good.
It's funny when you say Ohio, Mr. Ohio, Gatorade Player in Ohio, and he's a 4-star. The rating system must go up because if you win Mr. Ohio back in the day, that's an automatic 5-star back then. So, wow.
What about
the rating must be tough.
Get to me on the other side of the ball. Defensively, Mason Graham, Will Johnson. These guys are absolute surefire top 15 picks, it feels like, in the NFL draft next year. Defensively, how good will this team be? How much will they keep this team in games so the offense can catch up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this year, this is going to be a top 5-10 defense for sure, at least on the starter levels. You're elite at every level of the ball. Got great D-line, linebackers, cornerbacks, safety, all of it. The one thing we're going to see if this year's defense is as good as last year's is going to be the depth we had. Because last year, Michigan's defense almost had like 18 de facto starters. They could rotate in and out all game long. They had true 8 guys on the D-line that would just sub in and out to stay fresh. So what I'm really looking for is the guys who, were on the 3rd and 4th string last year, who can step up and actually be a meaningful contributor. The guys behind Derek Moore and Josiah Stewart on the edge, got to see some of them. Linebacker outside of Barham and Hossman, it's looking pretty thin there, but guys like Cole Sullivan, Jimmy Rolder, if they stay healthy, they can step up and make it better. So if Michigan can really also start blowing out teams early this year and get those second-level guys in the games and getting their reps, that'll help us a ton down the stretch and will really make us a top 5 defense in college football again.
Alex, we have so much about Michigan because, frankly, it is about Michigan. We've talked about Ohio State. What other teams in the Big Ten that you think has taken some strides in the right direction and could be a team to contend with in this Big Ten? We can go big spectrum and talk about the conference. What are some teams that you expect? I think last week you mentioned Nebraska. Give us some other teams you expect maybe to take a step in the right direction and be a problem in the Big Ten.
Oh, I think Oregon 100%. They come to Ann Arbor, but they're going to be a deadly team. They have Dylan Gabriel, quarterback, who's, I think, the active passing yard leader in college football because he's been playing for years. Tez Johnson looks to be a top 5 receiver in college football, and then they bring in the great transfer Evan Stewart from Texas A&M. They struggled a little bit against highly ranked teams last year, but they're bringing such a good offense and have such a good defensive mind coach in Dan Lanning, who worked under both Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. The guy knows defense, so I think Oregon's going to be a problem for Michigan and the rest of the Big Ten for years to come. And then, also I think Iowa as well. They're every year. Cade
McNamara, baby. Cade McNamara.
Yeah, they're going to have an elite defense, better O-line than they did last year, and they're returning a lot of their rushing prowess. So if they can just find a heartbeat of a passing game, then they're going to be good to go and really contend for the Big Ten this year.
The great intern Alex. It is Wolverine Wednesday, brought to you by our friends at Skinny Butcher. Alex, thanks so much, man. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, see you guys then. Thank you.
You got it. We're going to talk a little Lions next. We'll get you caught up on the Lions. Dan Campbell talked about John Kaminsky today, how long he'll be out, and how the Lions can overcome that. All that and more coming up next. But first, the message from Guardian Alarm.
Black and yellow sign on the front of the houses. It says one thing to you.
Stay out.
That's right. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts, 24/7 professional monitoring, and technology backed by people. This technology has been proven to work, and these people have been proven to care, so call 1-800. That's 1-800.
Stay out.
Call them today. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you. We'll be right back.
Stay out.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Hamp for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of. And guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media. And we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Let me just say, I love Planet Fitness.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home?
Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
Congratulations to the real Coach of the Year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
Buddy, how would you like to play the University of Michigan golf course with the great Braylon Edwards, Michigan Hall of Fame nominee? Bray, how can we play with you, man? Yeah, I want to play golf with you, dude. Any day. Anyway, so you can do that. It is the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Register today, and you could round off our foursome at woodwardsports.com or scan the code on the screen above my head there. When it comes to your next car or truck, make the wise decision. Randy Wise Automotive. Over to James.
Are you tired of wearing that same old Detroit sports merch? It's a new era in sports wearables. New designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. You know football season's coming around, so you need to have them Boo Dem Kids shirt worn by Pete today. Boo Dem Kids! So, when you go to the game, make sure you get that, among other things. But you need to go to woodwardsports.com and click shop to get the Boo Dem Kids shirt, among other things. We got hoodies, tees, and hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. Get the latest designs today at woodwardsports.com and click shop woodwardsports.com.
Hey, welcome back, gang.
I was watching Katie Ledecky in the pool yesterday. She won by 22 lengths.
Oh, man.
Or whatever it is. Like, legitimately, she was at one end of the pool.
She's like secretary.
The girls were at the other end of the pool, and she's on right now, and she's whooping the fields. But it should be a rule against that. Like, if you finished in the pool or track and field by so much time, there's no need for the final.
Now here's the key,
you already
guys.
get a gold medal. You won by 22 seconds. Just give the gold up.
Now I came in and set the TV up for you guys, so you'll be able to watch men's basketball at 3 live.
It's on now.
I
It's
see
on
it
that
on
one.
that TV.
Yeah.
I cannot follow where these freaking games are. No one.
You got to go to the Peacock app.
I got nothing.
And then you click on the sport.
Yeah, okay.
And it lets you know when that sport has been.
But if you just have cable, you're totally overmatched.
Bless you, Pete, by the way.
Thank you.
You're totally overmatched.
Well, if you want to change channels, the men's game is on.
I don't care.
All right.
I don't care.
They're playing the South Sudan.
Kornheiser don't know either.
Sudan's getting 28
I agree with
today,
you on
guys.
that. I told you.
Are you taking South Sudan in 28, or are you giving the points?
I'd probably take Sudan in 28.
Pete bet him straight up at plus 1,600.
South Sudan.
Let's win you 85.
You know, I found out it's funding South Sudan. Did you see that?
Luol Deng.
Luol Deng. You saw that?
Yeah.
Luol Deng has paid for the hotels, the food, everything,
Good for
the
him.
uniforms. He's funded them
he
for the
coaching
last
them?
couple of years. He's on the sideline.
Luol Deng.
Luol Deng.
Hey, let's talk a little Lions if we could. John
Lions.
Kaminsky out 5 to 6 months, torn MCL. Dan Campbell talked about it today and said if there's one guy on this team that could work his way back into a playoff game or something like that, it is John Kaminsky. This guy is going to put the work in. We'll see what happens. He also said today at the press conference, Braylon, that, you never want to disrespect the player or anything like that. And certainly that's not what this is. But if there was one position where they feel like they're okay, it's that defensive line. They have so many guys there, so many guys competing for a spot, so many guys that are competing for playoff time, playing time, that they feel pretty good about that unit as a whole.
Yeah, and this is a conversation that we were having yesterday. One thing about Dan Campbell, Tom, tell me I'm not lying. He does not blow smoke. Nope. Dan Campbell tells you what he sees at the podium. He calls a spade a spade. He's honest with you. That's why we knew this would be a 3-year process. It ended up being a 2-year process. Here we are, year 4. So when he tells you that he doesn't want to talk negative about a guy, he doesn't want a guy to feel like he's not a major part of what they do, but they'll be all right. Once again, he's telling you the truth. They've stacked this D-line, which last year we were trying to figure out who's the guy. They got to put guys in there. They got to add to Aiden Hutchinson. They got to give him a chance to get off these double teams and triple teams. But that's what it seems like they did in this offseason. They added Davenport. We know the names. We've been saying the names since they brought him into camp. The deal is they've drafted well, they brought guys in, and they've kept guys on that defensive line, whether it was Aleem McNeil or Anzarike, that they felt could help. And they still have guys that have yet to really show what they truly can do, that being James Houston and that being Josh Pascal. So I got to trust Dan Campbell on this one. I think they are deep at that position, but they got guys. It's one thing to be deep. It's another thing when you got dudes that can actually perform.
They're loaded, man. But, you don't want anyone to go down, especially a guy like Kaminsky, a guy that is almost like a vocal leader on that team. And God forbid anyone else goes down, you don't really want to dip into your depth. So we'll take this one. Hopefully he gets better before 5 months, like CD Deuce did last year. These guys, the Lions and their team in the back, they get him ready. They get these players ready. He'll be ready to go for the playoffs.
One of the areas of training camp so far, a lot that's been noticed out there at Lions camp, is how well the defense is playing. This offense is among the best in the NFL, and this defense not only is going toe-to-toe with it, but coming out ahead at some parts. So Dan Campbell was asked at the press conference earlier this morning how he views this defense. It looks like it's a little bit ahead of the offense right now, believe it or not. Here's what Campbell had to say.
And I can feel the defense. I feel our front. You can feel the front is being disruptive. And, man, we have violent separation. The backers are playing off of them downhill fast, all of them. And then our DBs are challenging, and they're running well, pretty good athletes. And so we're in a good place. And so, man, I just feel like we're challenging each other the right way. That's what you want, right? And you want this back and forth.
Ryan, this is exactly what I was talking about when I went to Jets camp, as I'm rocking the shirt now. Shout out to my New York Jets, JETS. But this is what I was talking about yesterday when I went to camp, when I went to the Jets camp. That defense and that offense, they're going toe-to-toe. That defense going into last year was much better than that offense they shoot. You're talking about Sauce Gardner, Quentin Williams, two of the best at their position in the NFL on defense. Now that offense is just as good, and you're talking about the tone being set. They were going tick for tack throughout that practice. You got iron sharpening iron like that, and that's what's happening here in Detroit. The iron, both sides, they're competing at the highest level. That offense is number 3 in some statistical categories, number 1 in total offense last year, and that defense is hanging with them, a defense that we said had no secondary, had no defensive line going into the playoffs. Now here they are, just 8 months removed. Team is ready.
One of the guys that could help out in the John Kaminsky absence as well is Levi Onwuzurike. He's a guy that's been he's so talented, but he's been injured, and he's trying to get healthy and perform. Here's DC on Levi Onwuzurike.
Well, I'll tell you, this started in the spring. We kind of mentioned him. He's earned it. I mean, it's clear that he's one of the best. I mean, it's just clear, and he plays with violence. He's stout. He's fundamentally better than he's ever been, and he's shown that he has some versatility between the big end and base and 3 technique. He can play some big end and sub, and nickel, and he's just earned it. I mean, and so he continues to go. He feels good, and so he's in a good place.
That would be music to everybody's ears, Bray, if that guy could come and perform and make an impact on this defense.
Well, just like when we were talking to Jason Benetti, he talked about developing. That's why he trusts the Detroit Tigers, because he trusts in the developmental process. I think that's what you trust here in Detroit. The coaches, they come from the NFL. They know stock. They've gotten their players better and better and better as the years have come on. So I think you're trusting these coaches to get these players ready. Brad Holmes will find talent. It doesn't matter what the talent is. It can be in this institution. It can be in Michigan. It can be in a lower tier school. It can even be in British Columbia and Canadian Football League. They will find guys that fit the Detroit locker room, the Detroit identity. So I trust in Brad Holmes, and I trust in that staff to get guys ready for the season. Tyrell Williams, I mean, man, you won't stop talking about him enough, as you shouldn't. Tyrell Williams. Hey, Jeff Simmons, he misses Tyrell Williams. You see him going after the reporter?
Oh, yeah. He went right after him at camp.
That wouldn't have happened if Tyrell Williams would have been there. I promise you that.
Jeffrey Simmons, right, in case you guys don't know, went after the radio guys, I guess, that were there covering Titans camp.
Yeah.
And they were trying to interview another Titan, and Jeffrey Simmons is coming and just, hey, what'd you say about me? You called me blah, blah, blah. Why don't you call that basically to my face? And the guys were just chilling like you. You were like, okay, man, Jeff, we can talk to you anytime we want. You can sit down if you'd like. Right now we're talking to Mr. X here right now, but it was pretty funny. But I was very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
Basically,
they listened.
Yeah. He said that what he was doing, something he'd done in practice, wasn't what he should be doing on the football field. He said it's unbecoming. He said that's not how you handle business. But then that's also that interesting player space, because there's so much peek behind the curtain now. Not everything is everything. And this is something that was just a practice deal, and he tweeted it out. So two rights can be wrong. I think Jeffrey Simmons should have handled it a different way, though. Should have me talk off camera and say, hey, look, I didn't like that per se. But the reporter, he didn't have to tweet it out. Two things can be true.
Hey, just quickly, Matthew Judon walked out on Patriots yesterday as well. Matthew Judon, the Detroit Lions have the second best odds to land Matthew Judon. They've got
Who's first?
Cap space. I don't remember. Maybe they have the best odds.
49ers?
But we'll table that conversation for
They
another
don't know
day.
him, do they? Did they birth him?
I don't know.
They're not going to sign him. Then.
I don't know.
They're not going to sign him.
I don't know. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Sean Wilson, the president and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Michigan. So many great things to talk to you about. We'll do that next. But first, a message from, Braylon Edwards is playing more golf.
It just never ends. It just never ends. The Allied Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through the 25th at Ward Hills. Leave the golf to the pros and don't miss the party at 17. $2 birdie beers, concerts, and more. Get your tickets at AlliedChallenge.com. Brought to you by Randy Wise Automotive Group.
Hey, guys, let me tell you about KDK Law as well, dealing with divorce, child custody visitation, other family law issues. Kevin and Catherine at KDK Law in Birmingham will have your back. 10-plus years of experience, 24/7 availability. Scan that QR code above my head right now, or you can call 248-971-0476, 248-971-0476. Say Woodward Sports sent you, and KDK will pay your filing fee. KDK Law, they've got your back. What's up, Sean?
To the Detroit Lions and Sheila Ham for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out PremierPetSupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! A network for the city, by the city. Woodward Sports is Detroit Sports.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Yo, let me just say, I love Planet Fitness.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home?
Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
The most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
To any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Right now, more than ever, it's critical for you to have your insurance reviewed, and Swiss Insurance will make sure that your carrier is not slipping in those extra fees. Call Market Swiss Insurance today, 313-530-1698, or visit SwissINS.com. Back to the guys.
All right, it is a pleasure now. We love this guy, Sean Wilson, President and CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan. Always great to see you. So much momentum going on with you and the organization right now. I have to say, though, Braylon, the event that you guys put on with the NFL draft with Jerome Bettis was spectacular. That was awesome. So good to see you again, Sean.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was, we wanted to maximize and kind of capitalize on, a powerful moment for the city, right? Getting the NFL draft here. And couldn't have turned out better. Jerome, I've known him for, over a decade, and anytime you call on him with something good, impactful for youth, he's always going to step up. And, when I said, hey, can you invite some of your friends? Next thing you know, you got Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, you got, and,
look at this friend list.
Brian Kelly, right? I was like, oh, man, all right. Yeah, I got to, I need to do that again for, to have him invite more of his friends. So it was great. It was a great turnout.
Definitely wish I could have been there. Already had an event going on, but Jerome's been my big brother for a very long time. Anytime you call on him, he will reach out and he will come through for you.
No, he talked about you for not being there, by the way.
I saw him that night too. He gave me hell.
I know he did.
I did some apologizing. Told him I'd take him out for a golf round. You say golf?
Oh, you already know. All right, there you go.
So let me ask you this. As we always talk about, so proud to be a member of the Boys and Girls Club, 12, 13, 14 years old when I was here down on Michigan Avenue. So it's near and dear to my heart in Livernois. But how did it change over? Like when I was going to the Boys and Girls Club back when I was 12, we were shooting pool, we were going outside, we were playing a little bit of baseball, a little bit of kickball. You had times you could be there. You had people to kind of watch and monitor and some groups. But now it's taken off. The BGCSM and what you're doing in terms of the cheer groups and to the football leagues. In terms of the last time we talked, you talked about the music program and the studio that you guys have. How did it go from what it was then to this new visionary project now?
Yeah, so innovation always comes out of need and usually desperate need, right? So the truth is that model that you grew up in, that I grew up in, was really a safe place model, right? It was important for kids to have a safe place to go after school where they had caring adults, they had activities, but also they could just drop in, drop out, whatever it was. Summertime, right? Like that was really important. But the truth is how society has evolved, there's really become a need for more skill-based activities. And because Boys and Girls Clubs of Southeastern Michigan didn't evolve, we were getting ready to go out of business, right? Because funders started funding more skill-based programs, STEM, STEAM, things of that nature. So that led the organization to closing clubs like the one that you grew up in. They had a club. They had to close that and sell it. Kids started going to other programs. We were running a 7-figure deficit every year. We took our endowment down from something like 20-30 million down to $1 million, right? And so all of that, because we failed to evolve, we put ourselves in a situation where we're getting ready to go out of business. So that's when innovation comes in, though, right? And ultimately, it's when you have to turn to the community and say, how do we reimagine ourselves for greater impact? And the answer ultimately was to focus on economic mobility, focus on workforce, focus on sports, like focus on truly becoming the best at these things. And when you think about sports, the reason that sports is so important from an economic mobility standpoint is because that's the first time that you are able to start to provide kids with the soft skills that they need to have a successful career, to operate in society, right? Sports is that first opportunity to teach them resiliency and teamwork and all of those different soft skills. And that's why we're so heavily focused on sports.
Talk about one more aspect, and that is the background checks. The reason why I asked about that, I just watched in society today, like people don't want to let their kids go. And this is to their family members.
Yeah.
Like it's some family members like, I don't know about this uncle. I don't know about this cousin. So that's very important in society today to have those background checks so people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Talk about why it's so important for you guys to be so extensive with your work.
Yeah, so, once again, sports is an amazing, platform to teach those soft skills. But here's the truth, and we talked about this last time I was on. Unfortunately, youth sports has become about the parents and the coaches, right? That's the truth.
100%.
100%. And so what happens is now these, parents and coaches, they take away the true learning. So, I'll give you an example. I take my son to a team. He's not the starter. Instead of teaching him how to fight for that starting position, how to work harder, get up at 6 a.m., work harder, right? Like grind. Nope, I'm taking my son to a different team. And you'll keep taking your son to a different team until he becomes a starter. Well, what have you just taught him? Quit. Quit if you don't get what you think you deserve, go ahead and quit. So that's the same kid who, when he becomes an adult, is going to quit a job. Oh, I should have been promoted. Oh, I want to be in a different position, right? So at the end of the day, parents and coaches have become an issue for it. So what we've done is we said, how do we professionalize youth sports? A big way is you have to invest in the coaches. So we invest in the coaches by paying them. So we pay our head coaches similar to how you might pay a head coach in high school. Okay. We make sure that they're all background checked, right? Because we want to make sure that the highest caliber coaches are interacting with the players. We provide a coaches academy where we actually train them, because here's the other truth, Braylon. Most of these coaches are not coaches, they're recruiters.
Yeah.
Right? They just get the biggest, fastest, strongest kids, and then they bring them to a team, and literally they line them up and say, run left, run right. And then they win a national championship, and they go, look how great I am. Like, no, man, you're on the west side, you're picking up kids from the east side to build this super team. You're a great recruiter, but you're not a great coach, right? But those background checks, paying the coaches, investing in the coaches, that's what's critical to solving that piece, right?
Yeah, more like a John Calipari. Ryan, I'm sorry to take over.
No,
you say this
please.
all the time in terms of I lost my train of thought. I was excited about it. I'll let you go.
You think about it, but you're talking about football, and the football and the cheerleading registration is open for those two sports right now, and it is important, and I think it's important to see guys like Braylon alumni come back and be a part of it, and see a professional athlete, but every bit as much. I think it's even more important to see presidents of companies, CEOs of companies, managers of companies. How impactful is that to the kids that are currently in the program to see that aspect of it? I think it's important to see success. If you see success, you too can achieve it.
Listen, and once again, that's why you have to make sure that you're surrounding these kids with the most successful adults, right? That's critical. And to your point, part of what we're trying to do is introduce these kids to different career pathways. The beautiful thing about youth sports, most youth sports programs go till 14. Our workforce programs start at 14. So part of the vision is that we're introducing those kids to different careers, to the CEOs, to the leadership of different companies. And then when they turn 14, they actually start to get paid in our workforce program, $15 an hour to learn fashion, right? And then the top performing kids get a chance to go to New York Fashion Week and display their design. We just had a group of kids in our mobility industry club who went to compete in Abu Dhabi in an autonomous racing league, right? And they're located at Michigan Central, where they're plugging into mobile and tech entrepreneurs. Once again, those are people that now they see successful entrepreneurs, they see successful founders, they see successful corporate leaders, and they go, I want to be that. Because here's the truth. Right now you have leagues that are arguing who sent the most kids to the NFL. Put it in perspective. 19 NFL players currently in the league came from Detroit. That's amazing. But when you look at all of the youth currently playing football in Detroit, that equates to 0.01%.
Exactly.
Right? Now, do the math on what percentage of the kids currently playing in Detroit, black men, black boys, are going to become incarcerated. What percentage of those youth are going to live in poverty? What percentage of those youth are going to drop out of high school, right? So you're catering your entire league, you're catering your entire program to the 0.01%, and you're ignoring your opportunity that you have to keep kids in school, to put them on a career pathway, to help them climb out of poverty, to make sure that they don't become incarcerated. That's the conversation that we should be having. That's why it's important for us to build the 3C Sports League.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say another along the lines of things is when you're shopping your kids around like that, when you're waiting, you're going to school. This happened to one of my good friends' cousin. Well, what happens is the time passes by. So then you look up, now your son's 17, and he never was a starter, but you kept moving from school to school, so you didn't give him a chance to work his way up. Now his career is over.
That's
it's time
right.
for him to go to college or get a job in the real world. This stuff isn't cheap. The work that you're putting on, how does one invest into BGCSM? Like, how do we invest to give dollars and help out through this process?
Yeah, so always love taking contributions at bgcsm.org.
Okay.
To your point, it probably costs us $800 to $900 per kid to play football or to cheer. We charge $175, right? We make up the difference through sponsorships from the Detroit Lions, from the Pistons, from Ralph C. Wilson. A lot of different foundations and corporations step up to make sure that we can keep this affordable. Because there are some teams that charge $500 a kid. Put that in perspective. If I'm a parent of 3 kids that I have cheering and playing football, that's $1,500. That's real money. That's real money. And so you price out a lot of kids in youth sports that, could benefit from it. Unless they're the superstar. Then you waive the fee. Right, that's usually what happens.
Especially
right?
if you're the coach from the West Side.
Yeah, exactly. I got you. Don't worry about it. Right, don't worry. I got that. We got a special scholarship for you. But we believe that you want to make youth sports affordable across the board. And once again, remembering, why are we doing youth sports? It's not to put kids in the league, right? Will we get some kids who go to the league? Probably. Yeah. But that's not why we're doing it. We're doing it to put them on a pathway to economic mobility, to make sure that they become successful adults. That's what we're doing.
Sports is so important to enabling that to happen. I want to make mention that football and cheerleading for this youth season is open right now. The registration is open. We are proud partners with the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan. We're going to broadcast 3 games this year. That's going to be so much fun. And as part of this partnership too, Sean, there's going to be a series of guest speakers. How will you go about choosing who those guest speakers are, and why that's an important aspect of getting the message across to the kids and everybody involved?
Yeah, we have obviously you can never do this kind of work by yourself, right? It takes a lot of partners, like the partnership that we're launching with you guys, right? You guys are going to help us amplify our message, help to parents to understand that there is an alternative if they want a family environment, if they want those kind of things, but yet strong competition. There's alternatives, so that's why we're really excited about this partnership. But we also have trainers like Donovan Dooley, Quarterback University, right? He's the coach for Bryce Underwood. I think he has like the top 3 high school quarterbacks in the Midwest right now.
Bryce is such a remarkable kid too.
Ridiculous.
I mean, we saw him at the Jerome Bettis event.
Absolutely.
He's a remarkable young man.
Absolutely. So, we want to open up the opportunity for, Donnie to come on and talk about when you're thinking about providing your child with training, what should you be looking at? What kind of trainers? Because you guys know this. Everybody's a trainer nowadays. Right? Everybody,
specialist.
Look, they might have stood on the sideline.
BS.
They might have stood on the sideline for high school football, and they're a trainer. Just pay them $20 a session or $30 a session, and your kid too can, get this top-notch training. So he can, I think, help understand that. I think he does a really good job of helping you understand, especially for quarterbacks, the mindset that a quarterback should have. So we want to give that knowledge to kids. Also, we want to bring on experts. We have a whole team of sports psychologists that work with our kids. So bringing in our sports psychologist team to talk about how do you help kids become resilient, to understand that losses aren't bad. Losses are actually lessons. And when you compound those lessons, that's actually how you win. How do you change the mindset of the athlete? Because, Braylon, you guys know, listen, at the end of the day, it's, 80%, 60%, whatever the percentage is physical, but then the mental component is just as important. How many top-notch athletes have you seen that should have went to the next level, but their mindset just wasn't there?
Sean, we were just talking, I just want to pick up on this. We were just talking to a guy in the major leagues, and he said that anybody who plays AA baseball has the talent to play major league. I forget who it was.
Okay.
Anybody who plays AA baseball has the talent to play in the majors. But all of those people that don't make it don't have what it takes up here to make it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's what separates you from going here to going here.
And listen, it's what we were talking about before, right? I mean, really think about this. When you think about Tom Brady, I love when Tom Brady said at Michigan, he was the third string, fifth string, right? And he went to a coach or something and said, how am I supposed to move up when I only get 3 or 4 reps in the game? And they said maximize it. So Tom Brady said when he got those 3 or 4 reps, he went in there like it was a Super Bowl. Let's go, guys, blah, blah, high energy, all that. Coaches see that. They're like, all right, let's give them 10 reps, 20 reps, right? So it's the mindset that you have to really build in these athletes to say, you're focused on the wrong thing. You can't control how much the coach plays you or don't play you, right? All you can control is your effort once you get in there. That's what you need to do. And so if we're able to help kids understand that's a life lesson, right? Oh, my boss doesn't like me. You can't control that. But what you can control is your effort at work, right? And how much you put in. Show up earlier to work. Put in that extra effort. That's what's going to get you promoted and help you climb that ladder.
That's why I love BGCSM, because a lot of guys could play back in the day. They had it, but they may not have had it up there. But also, it's more so support.
Right.
Like a lot of guys could make it, but they didn't have that support. When you don't have that support, you lose interest a lot of times. And I think that's what you guys provide. But I love the psychological aspect, because here's a dark stat. In 2021, I saw that Michigan led, it did get dark, but suicides as it relates to sports. Sports-related suicides in high school. We led the country. So having these psychologists being able to talk to kids starting earlier, they have social media. Like we didn't have that growing up. I didn't have to deal with TikTok. I didn't have to deal with the stresses, to live up to this moniker, or say, or your peers. Your peers are very judgmental. It's a very judgmental space. So to have that at an early age prepares you for what this new generation is. So that's top notch right there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, kids have to, they have to be able to process that. During the 3C Sports Conference, we had people coming on and experts talking about how to help your kid, process that negative, feedback that they're going to get online. That's so critical. So yeah, it's a different. You can't do the same thing you were doing 20 years ago with today's athletes. You have to evolve. You have to really invest in those kind of things, right, in order to meet their need.
And one of the most important things amongst many about your organization, Sean, is, and I love just this slogan of keeping the youth in youth sports. And you are going to evolve. Your kid is going to have next level type of experiences, but we're going to do it keeping that youth moniker still alive and well.
Yeah, and here's another example is you'll have a parent that'll come up to me and say, yeah, I'm thinking about bringing my son over. He's going to play 8U. He's 8 years old. Oh, okay, cool. He's the number 1 running back in the country.
Hey, shut up.
I'm like, wait, at 8 years old? So he's a number 1 running back in the country at 8 years old. How are we? But think about that pressure. So, yeah, well, Braylon, going back to your suicide, you're starting to put that kind of pressure on an 8-year-old that you have to live up to being the number 1 running back in the country. That's unfair. I got best advice when I decided to coach my son. He was 5 years old, going to play flag football, never coach. So I called Alan Rossum. You remember Alan used to play with the Atlanta Falcons? Yep.
He was fastest, I don't know what.
Fastest man in the NFL. So I called Rossi. I said, look, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Can you help me think about some plays? Can you give me some? He said, Sean, build a passion and a love for the game. He said, the older he gets, the more competitive it's going to be. At this point, you just want him to fall in love with football. Make sure it's fun for him, right? Best advice ever. Because what you see is that, now he's going into 8th grade, going to be going into high school. Oh, yeah, listen, that competition is starting to rise, right? Yeah. But for so many years, he just had fun. He just loves the game, and that's important. Take that pressure off. You're putting all that pressure on kids, and then you talk about, well, why are these kids committing suicide? Why are these kids, once again, there's other things that you can do besides suicide. You self-sabotage yourself. You drop out of school. The pressure is too much. You self-sabotage. Or you self-medicate. You turn to drugs, alcohol. So stop putting all this damn pressure on these kids to be the best.
Can you imagine that number 1 running back in the country as an 8-year-old working so hard his entire youth career and then only getting a full ride measly to like Toledo or Central Michigan and
but here's a failure. But normally they don't even make it that far. They really do flame out. They really do burn out before they even get to high school, definitely before they get to college.
Sean, this is absolutely spectacular. We're huge fans of yours and what you do at the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan. Any way we can help, we are here to do that. And again, I invite everybody to register now. Football and cheerleading, Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan. Check it out. Such an avenue, a pathway to success on and off the field. Sean, thank you so much.
Hey, we appreciate you guys. Excited for this partnership. Let's go.
Absolutely. Bray, get us out of here, my friend.
We're excited. Like you said, put the youth back in youth sports. Get the kids off the couch, 5 to 14. Register now. You know what time it is. This is Woodward Sports. It's Ryan Ermanni, Braylon. Pete, appreciate you over there. How you doing, James? Very quiet today. Very quiet today. We're going to get you involved tomorrow.
Good, man. Been
and
good.
we appreciate you guys.
Good to hear what's going on.
We appreciate you guys for tuning in to Woodward Sports. We'll see you tomorrow.